Three, two, one. Welcome, everybody. I am joined here today by a true legend of the combat world, UFC Hall of Famer. I'm going by memory, a three-time king of Pancrase. But before that, he was also heavily into the kickboxing in the Dutch world. He is a man who successfully transitioned from the ring also to the big screen with films like Here Comes the Boom and the upcoming film, which we haven't seen here in Italy yet, which is called The Smashing Machine with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Please welcome Bas Rutten. It's an absolute honor to have you on the show.
You're very welcome, man. I'm happy to be here. It's good.
Thanks. So I've been waiting a long time to meet you and to talk to you. And so why did I call you here today? Well, firstly, we have chatted a few times online, and we talked a lot about traditional arts. As you know, I come from the Wing Chun community. I grew up with it, started in 1971. And I believe also you come from a traditional martial arts as well. I think you did two systems of karate.
Shintai karate and Kyokushin karate. And then I started all the way back in Taekwondo, but I did that only for 3 months because I was bullied a lot as a kid. And then I started training Taekwondo. And then after 3 months, already knocked out the first bully. And then my parents thought it was violent, so they took me off. So then when I restarted, when I left the house, that's when I started with Shintai karate, was with some basic throws, really stuff, real weird, but it was nice. And then Kyokushin karate later on, but I started kickboxing right away as well.
Yeah. Well, you would have been pretty fortunate because in that era there, you were surrounded by some really big legends in the kickboxing world that took it to Thailand. Because it was very hard to get to Thailand. If I'm
Robert Dekkers, yeah. Robert Dekkers was like, he was the man. And Peter Ertz, he's a very good friend of mine. I know Peter since he was 14, so, and you saw already his dedication, and that he's got to be the toughest guy there is. I mean, he broke his back and broke his neck, and then he just goes back and he fights and he wins the whole freaking tournament again, He's a special individual, let me tell you. Funny too. Very good guy.
Yeah. So being surrounded by that, I think you'd had 14 KOs, or I think 14 or 13 in the first round, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that was a Wikipedia thing. I've always been asking about that. That's not. I think it was 11 in total with 9 knockouts, 8 in the first round and 1 in the second round. I've changed that maybe. If I say 8 times, I don't even, I'm lying. And every time it pops back and I go, somebody is controlling. That's the thing with Wikipedia. Anybody can do it, right? I'm a black belt in judo, they say. Never did judo in my life. You see, so all these things, it's weird. So don't look at my Wikipedia page.
Okay. No, I actually asked AI to come up with your history a couple of times. So even they got that wrong. But, from there, you went into a transition from kickboxing, then went to Pancrase. In Italy, we call this Pancrase.
Gotcha.
And I've always been fascinated with Pancrase. Just on a quick note, we had in a show, I think it's called Super Quark, and they'd got these scientists and the Athletic Sports Commission, that they got these scientists to get all these hieroglyphics from paintings in Egypt and stuff. And with that, they were able to professionally reenact all the guards and the protection they wore. And they did all the fighting sequences of how they used to fight millennia ago from the hieroglyphics, which was really, really interesting. I don't know if you ever saw that, but we're talking about 92, 93.
Oh no! What I do know, it was in the first 2 Olympics, right? 648 before Christ, Pancrase, but I believe it was too violent, and that's why they took it out of the Olympics. It was also different. It was really weird. It was in like a very small space, like a rectangle, from what I understand, like only like 6 meters long, and then which was long, but then it was not so wide. It was only like 2.5 meters wide. Right. And they would fight. Yeah, they would do everything. Those the what do you call them? in the Olympic Games, the gladiators and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like a bit like probably what they used to do in the Colosseum a long time ago.
Yeah,
Although they would have
exactly.
used swords and stuff. And so, but for us in that period before the UFC came out, that was really hardcore. And I thought, wow, that we used to get that on the local European station. In Australia, we used to only have one local European world station. It was called SBS. And so initially, Pancrase used to start, and they used to promote it against the WWE. So it used to be on the weekends, and it sort of didn't transition well with the kids because everybody used to love Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, and all that stuff. And so it got a later viewing. We'd see it at nighttime, Pancrase, which was better for us adults because we used to like watching it, right? And but it got an evening view. I remember that. So
Nice.
but that was pretty cool. And then from Pancrase, which was, you know, it was hardcore because it was barehanded as well, and so that was really unusual for us because I grew up a lot on boxing. I used to be really passionate for boxing. It was really big transition to see that type of combat.
Yeah, but it was open hand to the head, right? And close fist to the body, man, kicks, knees, everything allowed. So it was a great organization. It started 2 months before the UFC, September '93. And I think they should bring it back with the rope escapes and all that stuff. Because I'm telling you why, from that small organization that Pancrase was, I think we had 6 or 7 UFC champions. I mean, like I was beating UFC champions in Japan, and that's why the UFC asked me to come over to Japan. You see, and I think it is because of those rope escapes. Because if you look at my record, for instance, I have, I believe, 15 submissions and 12 of 11 knockouts, something like that. 14 submissions, 11 knockouts, I think. Yeah. But in fact, I have like 42 submissions. So what happens is if you fight and you drop a guy, and you go, first of all, there's an 8 count. So you got longer ring time now. He got back up. Okay, I'm longer in the ring. But with submissions, now you're going to have to be very strategical. Because if you feel that you're very dominant on the ground, what you're doing is you pull your opponent to the center of the ring. Because then he cannot touch the ropes. But once you're in the center of the ring and you lose your position, he's on top. Now you're going to be in trouble. So this is these things you start thinking, what do I do? What is better? But then I submit a guy. I won a guy one time. I beat him. It was a 28-minute fight because I broke my hand with a strike. The first punch, I broke my hand. And so I submitted him 5 times. And it was a 28-minute fight. Normally, after the first submission fight, it would have been over. But now I got more ring time. Start back up your feet. Fight again. That's fight number 2. Boom. Did it again. Fight number 3 starts. So we all had so much more ring time than everybody else had. And I think that's what actually made us good. And the submission game, I think it was ahead in Japan already. Like Shuto was really good submissions as well. Because it's different. It's that strong style from Carl Gotch. Everybody was doing that kind of submissions. So, yeah, I think that combination, I think they should bring it back, and just professional as well. I think it's a great sport. And for the people, and plus, fights take a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
Because my first fight was... There was a funny thing. My people look at the record. They say, "Man, you beat everybody in the first round." I go, "Yeah, 30-minute rounds." I mean, come on, of course. But they think it's within the 3 minutes. Now, I beat a lot of people within 3 minutes, but it's like, but still, I think it's good for the audience. It should come back.
Did what happened eventually? Did Pancrase filter its way out? They stopped doing it, or are they still doing it in Japan?
It was, Pancrase is still there. I'm in contact with the owner. It's a new owner. The thing is that now it's just MMA rules, right? They literally, I think 2 or 3 months after I left the organization, they started close fist and doing everything. I go, what the heck? Were you waiting for me to leave? I mean, what the heck? Why would you do that? Because that's why I want to go to the UFC as well. Just for the name. That was my number 1 priority because I knew everybody was watching the UFC. And I thought, a lot of people don't know Pancrase. The hardcore fans knew, like you, but other people didn't know it. So I figured I got to go to the UFC. And then, the matchmaker came to Japan. And after I knocked the guy out, he says, well, we want you in the UFC. I go, okay, well, I got 3 more fights on my contract. I'll be there. And he says, yeah, how long is that going to take? I go, 4 months. He goes, what? I go, yeah, my first year I fought 8 fights. My second year I fought 9 fights. I mean, if you're not injured, I just say, I'll fight the next show again. You see, so we put out a lot of volume in a short amount of time. So, and then in 97, I moved to America. 98 was my first UFC match. What happens when you start gassing, metaboflex, that's a beautiful word for it, is that your body starts redirecting oxidated blood. It actually takes it away from your legs that they're using right now to run up, and it sends it to your number one priority in the body, which are your breathing muscles. You don't do that for 3 minutes, you're dead. The survival rule of 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without oxygen. So it's the number one priority. So what if I give my breathing muscles more endurance, so they don't have to steal the blood anymore from my legs, and they can just keep on going. And now you delay your fatigue that you normally have here to there. And that's what the O2 trainer does, but it also forces you to use your correct breathing muscles. You do this for 6 weeks. Don't expect a freaking result in a week, because people, yeah, I do it for a week, it didn't do anything. I go, oh, that's great. So if you're overweight, you go to a gym in a week, you have the body that you want. No, that takes like 6 weeks. Oh, 6 weeks, that's it. Do this for 6 weeks. If you do this for 6 weeks, 5 minutes a day, every day, I don't think you're ever going to stop. Because Saka knocked him out in overtime. And then the title was in 99 against Kevin Randleman.
Yeah. That's might as well take the opportunity for my wrestling coach. And he said, please ask him for me. And I said, his name's Federico. And by the way, like, I'm the same age as you. Well, we were both born in 65, but you're older than me by 2 months, I think. And so his name is Federico. And I remember when I was learning wrestling, how he said, yeah, this is all good. I like your chi sao. And one important thing he said to me, which always stuck in my mind, he said, the problem with you is you don't know how to go to 95%. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, you have this mentality, you got to go to the extreme and beat everybody up, right? And because he knew me well, I was working security for a lot of years, and I knew a lot of people in the MMA world and K1 and stuff like that. And you know, so I wasn't scared to mix and match. I learned a lot, by the way. And he says, I'll teach you to work from 90%, 80%, 70%, 95%, so you don't have to kill people. And I'm there, all right. And it really did help me a lot, by the way. We're learning. And I'm not a great wrestler, but it improved my Wing Chun a lot. But anyway, sorry for saying all that, but Federico absolutely loves you. Him and his wife gave me the Bas Rutten striking set, and I've had it for about 6 years downstairs in my gym. So I've got that downstairs. And he said to me, what was the key? Please ask Bas Rutten. What was the key for beating Randleman? Because you were down on the ground for a long time. And, you know, some people said that was a controversy. But there was a good video that talked a lot about that, and how on a striking capacity, you actually outscored him 4-1. I think that was the analysis. But people don't understand that. So, you know, if did you mind talking about that?
No, of course not. So, yeah, so the game plan was not to kick at all. That was the game plan. Right. But then Kevin got him inside my head, and he might have done it on purpose. We're good friends. We were good friends because unfortunately he passed away, but I'm still very close with the family. So the day before the fight, I'm in the elevator by myself, and the elevator door opens, and there's he, and he gets in, and the elevator closes. So now we're standing next to each other, and we see each other in the mirror, so to say, in the reflection of the door. And he's got a smile on his face, and I'm smiling. And he says, how are you doing? I go, and he goes, yeah, I'm doing great. How are you doing? I said, I'm doing good. He says, good luck tomorrow. I say, yeah, you too. And then it's quiet, and we have the smirk on our face. And then he said, hey, listen, if you keep your feet on the floor, that means if you don't kick, I'll promise I won't take you down. And I go, really? Okay, I said, well, let me think about that, right? So I laugh, elevator opens, he goes out. So the next day we're fighting. And the first thing he does, he's inviting me, slaps on his thigh, like, kick me. So now I'm confused, you know. I go like, okay, he wants me to kick. Okay, I got this great idea. I make this question mark kick, but it's another question mark kick. I do it from the side, a roundhouse kick, that I change into a front kick. And if I do this and he shoots and I gonna kick him full in the face, and then I'm gonna win the fight. That was my thought. So I did that, but he moved back, and I go, he moves back on my kicks because I never expected that. I thought if he kicks, he's going to take me down. So, okay, let's kick. And then that's when I made the mistake. So I kicked, and right away he took me down. And then he got me on the ground. And then after the first stand-up, he beat me up. He beat me big up. I just saw a picture of a friend of mine send it to me because afterwards we went to party. My both eyes were closed. And he goes, you can party. I go, I can. Give me 1 second. I asked the doctor who was there. I said, give me a syringe with a white gauge. And so she gives me one, and I stab it underneath my eye, and I start sucking the blood out, and I do it in the other eye. And I go, yeah, we can go. Let's go. He goes, dude, you're crazy. I go, no, we want to go out, right? We want to have a good time. He actually sent me pictures of that. It was crazy. So my whole face is smashed in. And then after 4 minutes, they put us back up, and they had to check me because my nose was broke. I lost the contact lens, and the other eye was filled with blood. I was swallowing blood the whole time. And they said, well, your nose is broke. Can you continue? I said, sure, let's screw it. Let's just keep fighting. And that's when he started moving to the right and to the left. And I knew that he was doing that. And I thought, if he comes back to this side, I'm going to catch him with a liver kick. And as soon as he came back, I fully kicked him and he took me down. But then later also afterwards, he said, yeah, that one really got me. That's how I had you on the ground. Now, he was on the ground, and after that kick, he didn't move a lot. He didn't throw a lot of punches. From that moment on, he threw 10 punches. I think it's a lot. And I started working from the bottom. And I had this new idea, and I scoop my hips out, and I keep his body with my feet locked in, and then I would start elbowing the top of his head, and I start elbowing here, and I start hitting, So I knew eventually, because he started bleeding everywhere. He needed a bunch of stitches later after the fight as well. On the top of his head, there was all little cuts. I knew I won on points. But I saw the troubled look on my corner face, and I go, no. I know I look like crap. I mean, I look bad because he beat the crap out of me in the first 4 minutes. But I knew that I say it like this to the people. Imagine it was a 15-minute round with 3 minute overtime. So that's 21 minutes. Let's divide that in 7 rounds, right? 7 rounds of 3 minutes. He won the first 1.5 round. I won the rest of the fight because he was just taking me down to hold me down. And I was constant. He didn't do anything with his takedown. He didn't pass. He didn't try to knock me out. He had a few punches. But like I said, like you said also, I was outworking him. And I thought that because of that, I'm going to win the fight. But they're probably going to let me lose because the way I look. Because I didn't look good. But thankfully, the judges were thinking the same as I did. And because he didn't move on the ground, he just took me down and he was holding me there. He didn't want to come up. There's one moment at 13 minutes and 30 seconds. You can literally see that. It's where I knock him out, actually. It's like because I was skipping on my hip, and I had also this trick that I slide my knee underneath his chest, under his jaw, which was a legal move to do. And you see his head pop up and he falls on me. Right. And then 5 seconds later, he's completely quiet. And I didn't realize it. If I would have realized it, I would have skipped out and started hitting, but I didn't get it. But when you see the tape, you go like, oh, wow. So, yeah, I think I outstroke him, but it was a very close fight, man. And he did a phenomenal job on me in the first 4.5 minutes. Yeah, I looked bad. I'll watch this. I'll pop it up on my phone because I just got that picture from my friend. And then you can see how bad it was. Where is it? Love is the message, and the message is love. Okay. So,
wow.
And that was after I sucked my eyes out. You see, this was.
You look like another person.
This was just after I took the syringe and I just sucked all the blood out. That was just after that. I was looking in the mirror to see if I needed more to get out. So yeah, a friend of mine just recently sent me like 3 days ago. This was in the dressing room. And look, in the back, there's all these beers waiting for me behind the belt. The doctor says, don't drink any beer, Bas, okay? I go, good. And then he moved out and I go, bring in the beers. Let's start partying.
Well, that's pretty impressive. You were supposed to then try and get a match with Randy Couture, but that never happened. That would have been one hell of a match.
That would have been the first match, actually. They wanted to set me down, but that didn't happen. The only thing that happened was I got this tendonitis, and you will see that in the movie, The Smashing Machine. We're talking about it, and it's a really painful thing. And once that happens, training becomes a nightmare. It's like so painful, like insane. I've never had a pain like that. It's the most. And every workout that will come back for an hour 45, 2 hours, and I couldn't eat anymore. You get miserable because you know it's coming, and you have to work out. You have to fight. But then what happened was that was just when they established weight classes when I came in. Two weight classes, heavyweight, and I believe they called it middleweight, not even light heavyweight. So 200 pounds and over was heavyweight, and 200 pounds and over was light heavy, middleweight. And that's what Frank was the champion there. Now, when I got to the world title fight, I jumped on the scale with my clothes, and I was 197. I had to be over 200 pounds. I was too light. So Joe McCarthy says, well, you can fight, but it's not for the title. I go, why not? He says, you need to be over 200 pounds. I go, oh, okay, give me one moment. Give me 2 minutes. So I went to my buddies. They were drinking waters. I said, give me all your waters. And I started drinking all these waters. And I drank way too much. It was 203, I believe. I drank like 1.5 liters. That put me over the mark. And then it became a title fight. But knowing that, I thought, you know what? Why don't I become the first guy in history who's going to have a title in 2 different weight classes? Because then I'm going to go to Frank. Well, the last 2 times I fought Frank, I beat him. The last time I stopped him, So then I said, okay, I want to fight Frank. I want to drop in weight, and I'm going to fight Frank. And then Frank retired. And then when Frank retired, they said, okay, Bas is going to face Tito Ortiz for that title. And then Frank got angry. Frank said, no, I'm the champion. I will come back. I will fight Tito. And after I beat Tito, I'm going to fight Bas. Then he beat Tito, and then he retired. So unfortunately, that fight never happened. And for me, it was kind of good as well, because like I said, I was in so much pain at that time, But for that one fight, I think I could have mustered it up to one more time, go in a training camp for 10 weeks. Sure, it's going to hurt, but let's do it, because if I can do that, I'm putting figure that's legendary stuff, right? Getting 2 different titles in an organization that never happened before, because they didn't have weight classes. But unfortunately, the Lord didn't let me do it, and it's probably for a reason, and I'm very happy about it. So I just trust whatever He says.
Well, maybe it had to do with the body can only take so much, maybe pushing beyond that is not the best thing.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I went through a lot of crap. Yeah. It's, boy. But all the real injuries that I had, the tendonitis went away. But the real injuries I had was always from like fight shows, fight TV, fighting shows, dropping on my head. That's why I had the neck problems. That's why the arm is so weird here with the atrophy. And, it's a nerve damage that happened. But that never happened in fighting. It happened in the things that I did after fighting.
Right. Well, Bas, so I've come to the next part of the interview.
The cap with the flap. Now, some people might say it's broken. Well, it's not. The flap is there for a reason. You see, when I inhale, it closes this side completely off, which will force you to inhale through this side, which has the resistance caps on it. Now, if you do hear some air slipping in, it's probably the washer, that little plastic thing here. Take it off, put it in the middle, and voila, it should be gone. Now, if you still hear something, very simple, take the washer out. You see, the washer is there to help you stop drooling through the O2 trainer. By the way, every inspiratory muscle trainer you can find has this same problem, because we're moving back and forward, and saliva also moves back and forward. But once you have your technique down and you swallow after you just inhaled, you don't need it anymore. Godspeed.
A lot of people in traditional communities, let's talk specifically Wing Chun. I have the problems where when we talk about real fighting, there's always this negative point of view from my perspective. They say, it's not real in the ring, it's real on the street. And you've heard this talk plenty of times. And I've worked like over 20 years in the bouncing and security, and I've had my fair share of fights. I think I'm a tough guy, but I know my limits. I'm not a stupid person. I know what's the difference between someone who does it as a profession. I wrote to you saying that, I actually lived with professional boxers in a hotel in Italy in the 80s. where I was also a translator for the Americans and the Italian teams. And so I got this opportunity to live with them, train with them, and see what the lifestyle was. And it was connected with a Savati professional team as well. They shared the same gym. So I was getting the best of both worlds, training along with these guys. So, seeing the pressure, seeing what sort of physical resistance they have to go through, the timing, the speed, the physical endurance, how many hours they're putting in a day, they're different. It's a different type of beast. It's a different type of animal when you're comparing it to someone who's doing it part-time. A lot of time in my life, I've spent specializing in security programs or doing it for security work, because even there, it is different to the ring for sure, but the dynamics don't change in the sense that it's not like, the nucleus of what we learn in Wing Chun is very effective for our logic, but the logic that we use has to go against, different realities. If you don't understand these realities, such as boxing, such as kickboxing, or what it's like to go against someone who's going to clinch you, someone who's really intended to beat the shit out of you. So, excuse my French, man, you don't know what it's like to really get somebody who wants to take you out. And fortunately and unfortunately, I lived a lot of this experience and got a lot of bruises, cuts, and torn muscles and whatever that you bring for the rest of your life through security. Sure, it's different to the ring, but the guy in the ring still has that experience because they practice it. So a hit's going to be a hit, an elbow's going to be an elbow, a knee's going to be a knee. Whether the context of the situation is different, they are trained people. You know what I'm saying? So to try and get this point across when I'm teaching traditional people, it's not easy. So I was hoping to get maybe a bit of input from you, what you thought about it.
Well, it's very simple. By itself, only in a professional world, for MMA, for instance, it's will not as be effective. But then you have guys like for instance, Royce Gracie came along. Nobody knew. And he starts beating everybody on the ground. But then everybody started learning their game. And that was mixed martial arts. They start learning it. And now he faces suddenly a wrestler. Well, if you face a guy like Mark Coleman or Mark Kerr, you can't take him down. Not Royce Gracie. You just simply not. And then if he doesn't have his skills on his feet, well, he better adapt. Now, what you're saying is already, you said it all. So, okay, I'll do it first with you. You said you worked with boxers, with Savat guys, so you were cross-training already. You know what to expect. And you started using some of your Wing Chun stuff in that boxing. Oh, this not work, this doesn't work. Oh, wait, this works, right? And it's the same as with Aikido. Aikido, there's moves that work in a fight, but I'm not going to attack you like this with a big punch. I'm not going to go, boom, this punch you can't grab. It's going to just not like you can grab my fist, So against the boxer, you're going to have a big problem. But once you're close by, now the throws and now the leverage that you can create, of course, it's good. And then everybody would say in the beginning with Lyoto Machida, they would say, look at him, he's a karate guy, and he's became a UFC champion. Yeah, but he's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he wrestled, and he actually also did sumo wrestling. So this guy did everything. He was just cross-training. And that's the thing with Wing Chun as well. By itself, if you have a Taekwondo guy well, you saw it in the UFC. You got a soul karate guy come in. What happens? Take your ass down, they're going to submit you. Look at me. That's how I lost my 3 fights, because of that. Because I was a solely striker. And once they took me down, they could simply submit me. So now I had to start adapting. I started learning the ground game, and boom, suddenly I never lost again because I just learned the ground game. And that's with Machida, and it's with all these guys. And you, yourself, like I said, you said it as well. You started training with boxers. And once you do that, in every martial art, there's something that you can use, man. All of these things. If I like Ron Baliki, they do the Wing Chun also, because I worked with his wife, Diana Lee. She's the goddaughter from Bruce Lee, actually. With Danny Nasanto, all these guys, it's a beautiful martial arts, but they all cross-train. They train with Eric Paulson, they do submissions, they do everything. And then they figure out what's from Wing Chun, because it's different. You know, if you have a different thing, that you can surprise your opponents because they're simply not used to it. That's why you see a Michael Venom Page, who's a point karateka guy. What is a point karateka guy going to do? What, you think they can't hit for real? Of course they can hit for real and they can hit hard. But their in and out movement is so freaking fast, you're simply not ready for that. Because they've been doing that their entire life. So he's whoop, whoop, and he's out. And whoop, up into this. And then he's got all this craziness that he's adding it. And you see Wonder Boy, Stephen Thompson does the same thing. Their movement is different. And because it's different, they use that movement and they attach all the MMA skills to it. And boom, they got a winning formula suddenly. And that's the same with Wing Chun. If there would have been a Wing Chun guy, you know, who said right away from the beginning, who would put his pride to the side, and he says, like you know, like who said, listen, I'm going to start working on boxing and on ground fighting. Then a Wing Chun guy is going to do really freaking well in the UFC. And at the time, the UFC was the biggest proving ground for any sport because that's how it got created. Which style is the best in the world? Well, if you would go into the Wing Chun, Boss Stepper brought his student in there, right? Didn't really fare well, right? It didn't go well because it was solely Wing Chun. But if he would have taken some boxing classes and maybe some wrestling classes, now it's a whole different animal. Now we can use things from Wing Chun that are people not used to, certain movements, trapping, whatever it is. And that mixed with MMA is going to surprise a lot of people, you see? So that's what I'm always saying. Every sport has things. Like, for instance, everybody throws a punch like this. You have to turn your hand. Who says that? Mm-hmm. It makes no sense to me. If it comes naturally, let it go. But everybody does it wrong. They start turning here. So they already bring their elbow up and they come forward. Now, when they do that, they kind of hit in an angle. So if I hold my hand here, it's already going to miss me. It's literally it. But if I keep my elbow down, you can't see this punch coming. Well, I got that punch from karate. That's why I was effective with it. I just put karate into my striking game in mixed martial arts, and it freaking worked. You see, so that's how it is. It's with every sport has really great things. The distractions are awesome. The breathing, everything you guys do is really awesome. But to say that solely Wing Chun is going to be a good mixed martial artist, that's just not realistic. Yeah. Unless, like I said, he starts cross-training. Unless you're connected to a machine by a tube through which you breathe, and that machine pumps out air with less oxygen in it, there is no device out there that you can use while working out that will do the same as high altitude. If a product claims that, simply, it's a lie. Ask any doctor. Even running on the treadmill for only an hour a day while getting less oxygen in the air, thus mimicking high altitude, will make you build up more blood cells, red blood cells, but nothing dramatically improves your stamina. Now, the O2 trainer will help you since you are making the muscles responsible for breathing stronger so you can move more air in and out and faster. Now, on our website, under the tab Science, you can find a published medical journal about inspiratory muscle training and high altitude so you can read it for yourself. And just so you know, the O2 trainer is an inspiratory muscle training. And then mixing everything in, now he becomes very effective because he moves different. It's like when you train with a beginner, right? Sometimes your pro guys are not there to spar with you, and then you just take a person from the gym who's maybe trained for a year. You always get injured. You always get injured because they move different. Suddenly you kick an elbow. They don't have that game down yet. But because it's so awkward, suddenly poof, there's a punch, and you go like, "What? Did he hit me with a punch? That is weird." But it's just because he's still uncoordinated and he does things that I don't expect because we all fight by the rules. Well, if you break the rules and you add Wing Chun to it, suddenly it becomes very effective.
Yeah. It's let's put it this way: some people are very close-minded. Let's put it that when I work at a very close range in security, I've always found that the Wing Chun has always helped me out. It's been very effective, and that's okay. It's when you break out of that realm and you get into different situations, for example, riot control, all of a sudden the stress is coming everywhere, high, low, across, people squashing you, or you go to the ground and you just don't know where the pressure's coming from. Then your reality changes. Then you have to start looking at things. Well, at least that's how I try and put it to my guys, in a multi-dimensional aspect. So, it's like since I was a kid, I've always tried to look at cross training, mixing things up. And, sure, I was never a cage fighter, but I always learned from guys, even here in Italy, because I've been living here for about 25 years now, 36 years I grew up in Australia. But it's always been part of our conglomeration. In Australia, they tend to cross train a lot. So in Adelaide, we had, I don't know if you ever heard of Vince Palumbo. He was the first guy to win the Tough Man competition, where everybody could join up to fight. And he was like one of my brothers. We used to train together, mix and match. And we had always this mentality of cross training. Here in Europe, I found that that's a lot more, it's more linear. They find that they want to stick to the traditional way. It's very hard that they break out of it. So, that's why.
Well, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, let them do. It's a great sport. It's like karate. Everything is beautiful. But if you want to bring it to MMA, that's the ultimate toughing guard. It's like when a boxer says, I'm the best fighter in the world, you're not. You're the best boxer in the world. You're the best kickboxer in the world. You're not the best fighter. The fighter is the mixed martial artist because he knows everything. He has to know everything. Still, some people don't, but he needs to possess all the parts of fighting. It's like when you have a Wing Chun match and takedowns are allowed, but nobody does it because for a reason nobody does it, and you suddenly start using takedowns, you're going to win because you're doing something that all the other ones are not doing. You see? So the ultimate proving ground is always the UFC. That's what I said at the beginning when Wing Chun, when this whole thing started. I said, well, go to the UFC. Prove it. Because and then I said Lyoto Machida, but then I already said, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. He's cross-training, but solely karate is simple. We had him in the UFC. It's not going to win. But, the distractions, if I see like Ron Baliki and all these guys train, I mean, it's crazy. The movement of Wing Chun, it's so beautiful. It's so fast, and if you blend that suddenly with a cross, boom, now we're talking. Because he can't see coming, because the way of movement, whatever you're trapping, and then suddenly there's an elbow, or again like a cross or a lead hook, then it becomes a very effective tool.
Yeah. With the, did you find? Because I believe it was one of the questions I said to you in the emails. We were talking about as you progress towards the traditional art, that when you learn weapons, your fighting skills changed as well. I found that with Wing Chun. Did you find that with karate?
Yeah, but I think Wing Chun is more adaptive for that, like for knives, because they already have that kind of distance. So it's easier for them. But if you go from a karate, which is a little further away, and striking as well, then with knives, it's harder because, they stay just outside the reach. Listen, knife fighting. I worked with Lassie Zabo. I did a movie with him, and he's like one of those knife guys. And I just saw him training with with plastic knives, rubber knives, against stunt guys. Oh, he was chopping people up, man. That was like you have no chance. And what these knife fighters are doing, and it's a very simple thing. You think they're going to start attacking your neck? They don't. If you stand in front with your knife, that's it. They'll take your hand. They cut up your hand. So now you can't carry the knife anymore. Then they're going to stab you. And he was with these guys, with these rubber knives, and the speed this guy had. I mean, all these guys had these little tiny triangle marks on their hands because he would with that fake knife. But if that would have been a real knife, he would have chopped up their hands. And then what he did, and I saw him doing it like freaking 5 times, so insane. A guy stabs him, and he moves to the side. He literally pushes himself away, and with the other hand, the guy comes in, and he slits his throat. And every single time, like 5 times, he had like literally made contact. It's a rubber knife, but in real life. And then he told me, he says, you want to go around with me? I go, nah. I'm good. I already can see that I'm not going to win that freaking game. You see, that made me a whole different guy because everybody on the street, they come with these big attacks and big stabs. Watch them. If they stand like a fencing guy in front of you with a knife, I would say, you know what? You won. I'm not even going to take the risk because you're going to chop your hand up, you're going to lose the weapon, and then they're going to stab you. That's how it goes with these guys. And the Philippines, and you know, all these, there's some really great knife fighters out there as well.
Yeah.
But I think that knife fighting in Wing Chun, I think that it's an easier mix. I think it's like wrestling and submissions. You know, it's like because you have those movements already, these fast movements, which you're going to need for knife fighting.
Bas, I don't want to hold you up too much. I've got two last questions. One was definitely about the O2 training, but the other important thing is that having grown up in a professional environment, I grew up. My old man was a professional soccer player. We migrated to Australia because of soccer, and so he was very militant on myself and my older brother. My older brother's close to 8 years older than me. He's the one who got me into Wing Chun, and he also got me involved into teaching security because he's a commissioner of the police. And so we were always used to training hard and take things very seriously. But because I see the difference between professional amateurs or novices, how they train, what advice could you give for training? What tips would you give to the average hobbyist for training at home? Like those who only train 3 or 4 times a week, who can't go and join an MMA gym or maybe only do things, part-time. What would you recommend?
Yeah, well, it's hard nowadays. First of all, you need a good teacher, right? This is very important. So it's very simple. I'll show you. Just go. When I do this, you focus on these muscles to expand. If you see somebody raise your shoulders in the beginning, just grab the bottom of your chair, because a lot of people, as I said, breathe wrong and they will start. But on a hard resistance cap like this, you're not going to have a lot of power. So you're going to be forced to use your diaphragm. And once you start breathing diaphragmatically, everything will change. Because he needs to teach you the correct technique. And once you found a teacher like that, the correct technique, and you don't have time to train more than 3 or 4 times a week, I would ask that teacher, if he shows you a technique, if you could film it. Because then you have it on film, and then you can go home and you can start practicing it. Because if you go home and you start practicing from memory, sometimes, you know, and I'm like obsessive, right? I grind things in for thousands of times. You know, I just take the time for it and grind it in. Start slowly. That's a big thing. Technique is everything. We all want to be fast. We forget about that. First drill in the technique, and once the technique is there, then you add speed to it. Now it's perfect. If you just do stupid fast stuff, it's not going to do anything. So once you see that technique and you got it on video, bring it home and then start training it. And then what you need to do, this is what I used to do myself as well, even when I hit the bag, film yourself. Once a week, film yourself. In the beginning, I would do every day, because we always believe that we, in our mind, we're doing what we're doing. Like for me, upper body rotation is everything. You know, all power comes from there. Every counters, every kicks, punches, everything becomes better if you have really fast upper body rotation. And the more you rotate, the better it is. But we don't want to do that because it makes us slower. Yeah, but what we don't realize is that if you just keep doing it, your speed will pick up. And suddenly you become like a Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson's upper body rotation is bizarre fast. You know, I always tell this to people. If I'm saying, if Mike Tyson throws a lead uppercut, a lead hook, and a liver shot, you will hear this, pop, 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 in that speed. And then you see him in slow motion doing this. Boom, goes all the way back. Boom, goes all the way back. Boom. But the speed is so insane, but he's constantly rotating. That's why he is able to hit with so much power, because he loads every single punch up. His upper body rotation is bizarre. I do drills for that. I have literally drills for that increase that speed, because it's very important. So do that, film yourself, then check if you actually are doing the correct technique. And if not, you're going to have to adjust it. So that's why you don't want, in the beginning, you want to do it every day. Because if you do it a week wrong, that doesn't matter. Like practice makes perfect, they always say. It's a bullcrap line. Perfect practice makes perfect. Otherwise, it's not going to do. If a guy learns how to punch and he's punching a bag like this and he does it for 2 months, well, he will still punching like this after 2 months. He sucks. But if you do correct technique and you constantly check it. Gus D'Amato, the trainer from Tyson, he was so good with that. It's good, it's great, it's not perfect. Let's make it perfect. And that's my whole way of thinking as well. I want everything to be exactly like it should to generate the most power. And then I would say also start logging things. Start writing down certain combinations that you really like to do and you score a lot of hits with in training. Write it down. No, but Bas, I'm never going to forget that because it works. You are going to forget it. Trust me, because 20 other things are going to come. And then suddenly, so for me, I had everything written down. And then sometimes you go through your book and I go like, oh my God, I haven't used that for a long time. It was so effective. Let's put it back in. And then you just see it's still effective. You see, so writing things down. Then if you go to power training, I do a lot of repetitions. I do 25 repetitions, everything. Find a way that I can do 25 repetitions. Once I go to 30 repetitions, I have to increase my weight. Write everything down. And then every workout, this was my mindset. It can be the same as the last one. It can never be lower. That can never happen. We have to do what we did last time or better. And once you train your mind like that, your body starts adapting. People have no idea what your body can do. I used to buy audio workouts, those audio workouts that I have with the sprawls. It's really hard. Professional fighters have difficulties with it. If you never did that and you do 5 rounds of that, and that's just shadow boxing, but with all the sprawls that comes, well, we do that as a warm-up for 5 rounds, and a minute break, we fill up with push-ups and or kettlebell swings. We don't take rest. We go 20 minutes straight. Now, there's a lot of pro fighters come train with me, and they cannot do the warm-up. And I go like, dude, when is your fight? He goes, like in 3 weeks. I go, don't go. He goes, what do you mean? I said, this is the warm-up. We didn't even start. He goes, yeah, but it's so hard. I go, it's not hard. All my students are doing it. You can tell, right? Yes, it was hard the first 3 weeks, but then the body adapts. And then it starts, now it becomes normal. Okay, good. Now you can really start putting now you can put ankle weights on. With every knee you make, with a 10-pound ankle weight, that's going to be really good for your core, for your kicking power. You see, you start every time increasing. Never decrease, always increase in whatever you do. And then you're just setting goals, right? And that's very hard right now in this soft world we're living in right now. That's why I do a lot of speaking, and that's all about this. It's like we have no more discipline. We don't have self-respect. Because if you have self-respect, you don't get drunk all the time. You don't do drugs. You don't overeat. You don't do that. That's self-respect. Would you tell a person who you really love, would you tell them to drink as much as you do much drugs? No, you don't. So why don't you love yourself? If you love them, love yourself so you don't do it anymore. But anything that feels good, I feel so good, I got to do it. I can't handle a problem. I pop a Xanax or a Valium. I go, what do you do? Just fix the problem. Learn how to fix the problem yourself so it's not a problem anymore. And then because if you did that the first time, now you go like the next time when the problem comes, you go like, wait a minute. Yeah, that's a big problem. Yeah, but you remember last time? We fixed that. So now we might fix it as well. And once you start simply doing that, it becomes better. Don't be the guy who says, after this interview, Monday I'm going to start training again. I'll guarantee you're not going to do it. When you want to train again, what about now? Or what about tomorrow morning if it's too late? Freaking be true to your own word. We lie to ourselves all day long. I'm not lying to myself. Okay, well, the question that I just said. How many times did you say, after the weekend, I'm going to start training. After the weekend, I'm going to watch my drinking. After the weekend, I'm going to watch my food. After the weekend, everything is after the weekend. And we never freaking do it. That's why 92% of the people who have a New Year's resolution don't finish their New Year's resolution. So but the auto trainer, like you said, you want to, this is 5 minutes a day. 5 freaking minutes. Can't do it. I don't have the time. Go on your phone. Look at your screen time. 7 hours a day? Why don't you pick 5 minutes? It's the first thing I do in the morning. I'm literally sitting here in my man cave. This is my man cave. And it's the first thing I do because then it's out of the way. I got it done. And guess what? After you did it, you feel great. You're going like, oh my God, I'm feeling good. And that's the same with working out. You have to make the step. But we don't want to do it anymore. We rather pop a pill to lose weight. Or, we have heartburn. No, let's not change the food. This is your body telling you that you should change your food. No, let's not do it. Let's drink a bottle of Pepto-Bismol, whatever. I don't know if they sell it there. Because if I can drink that, then I can still eat that food. I go, you're killing yourself. Just eat what you need to eat. If you see my breakfast, I eat sweet potatoes. I'd eat like over a kilo and a half sweet potatoes with a steak. That's breakfast. But it's all fresh. And that's for years I'm doing this. Is it boring? Yes. Am I sometimes getting sick of it? Yes. But I do it. Why? Because it's good for me. That's why I work out. Do you think I like working out now? With all the pains I have? No. But I know that if I work out, I feel mentally, everything feels so much better. Just work out. It doesn't need to be 2 hour workouts. You can do a lot in 40 minutes, man. If you turn it up a little bit, 40 minutes, start with 10 minutes. We all right away go in like an hour and a half workout, and then the next day we can't move because all the muscles are hurting, and now you don't want to go to the gym anymore because you're in pain. You see, that's what's wrong with the people. Once you start treating yourself with respect and you don't lie to yourself, you can move mountains. You're literally what Jesus said, you can do that. But we can't. And listen, I'm not sitting here saying that I got everything under control. I do my nicotine pouches, but at least it's not tobacco. And I know it's healthy for me as well. So it's not a big thing. But officially, I could stop at that. I should stop at that. But drinking also, I don't. I don't drink. If I want to drink a drink, I drink maybe 1 or 2 beers and I stop. But that's once every few months, maybe I do something like that. If you simply put temperance in there, and you say, okay, I'm just going to take 2 drinks and that's it. I'm going to go home. That's it. I'm just going to eat 1 or 2 burgers. I don't need to eat 8 burgers. Why are you constantly feeding yourself? We are thinking that all these things are make us happy, but it's not. It's pleasure. Pleasure is not happiness. Pleasure is dopamine. The whole time, more food. Oh, I feel good. I feel good. Well, now, because that's how dopamine works, now you need the next time to get that same good feeling, you need to actually eat more. That's the same as with a beer, right? If you've never drank a beer and then you drink the first beer, you go like, hey, that's a good feeling. 1 beer, magically it's all good. Next day, same thing, works great. Third day, fourth day, doesn't work anymore. Let's drink 2 beers then. Oh, hey, there's the feeling again. Okay, I'm feeling great. But you see how it works. Because if you have an addictive personality like I have, that's a road to destruction, man, because then you're going to start doing it more. And every vice what's out there, like anger, it doesn't matter, sex, food, drugs, alcohol, all these vices, lying, cheating, money, surfing the internet, all these things, they give you that pleasure feeling, but that's dopamine. Serotonin, that's what happiness is. But serotonin is just being happy and feeling good. But we don't want to do that anymore. Because now you wake up in the morning sometimes, right? You wake up, you go like, oh my God, I'm having a good day. I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I got energy. I got everything. Okay, let's seize the day. Let's make this a freaking great day. Okay, what am I going to do? Okay, let's put some caffeine in me. Why would you put caffeine in you at that moment? You just said that you feel really good. No, you need extra feel good. Now, in order to get that extra feel good, you're going to need 2 cups later on. Because otherwise you're not going to get that dopamine rush anymore. You see, and serotonin doesn't have that. And this is the worst part. The way you kill serotonin, which that is happiness, right? If you have to work for something and then you succeed at it, that gives you happiness. But we don't want to work. We don't want to put pills to lose weight. We don't want to work out. The thing that kills serotonin is dopamine. So the more you buy, the more you eat, the more you drink, the more you want for yourself, the more unhappy you become. That's why millionaires have some of the highest suicide rates in the world. Why? They can buy anything. Yeah, but not happiness. They can buy pleasure, but they don't realize the more they buy pleasure, the unhappier they become. They have that hole. Listen, I don't know if you're a believer. I'm a big believer. A lot happened to me with physical attacks, spiritual attacks. It's very scary what happened to me. But once I started going back to the church, and now I start learning about it, and it's not what everybody says. It's completely the opposite. They want you to be happy by disconnecting. So they're my Porsche, get rid of the Porsche. Get rid of my watches. Get rid of all these. I just give it away. And now I'm freaking, I have a nice car, but I don't have a freaking $150,000 car. You see what I mean? But I'm feeling great right now. I don't have that feeling anymore that I had 12 years ago. Like constantly wanting to prove myself. It's completely gone. It's like the likes online. Why? You people don't know you. You don't know these people. It's all fake. You are putting a fake profile out. I put it. Everybody does. Oh, it's not. Oh yeah. Do you put your bad things on there? If you're judging people, if you talk bad about people, you might make a video clip and post that. Of course you don't post that, because that's not going to get you the likes that you so really want to have. You see, so we all live in a fake world. You should think about your friends and family members. And once you do that, those are the people that know your character. All the other people just have an opinion over you. But opinion is not who you are. Character is who you are. You see, and just work on yourself. Stop pointing people fingers. Oh, he lied. Oh, well, you never lied? Oh, yeah. Oh, he was angry. Oh, you never been angry? Oh, he was rude. You never been rude. Oh, he was wrong. You never been wrong. Oh, he made a mistake. You never made a mistake. You see, we all do these things. But freaking we point them out at other people while we're doing it ourselves. So point them at you. Stop fixing yourself so you don't have time anymore to point it at other people. And once you do that, and this applies to everything, fighting and everything, then you have time to pursue the goal that you want to have in life. For me, it was fighting, stay on the path. It's like alcohol. You don't want to drink. Well, that's exactly if you want to go become a champion. You can't steer off the path. You can't eat that. You can't go to that party. You can't have to watch out for women. There's a lot of things you have to say no to, right? Because you want to have that goal at the very end. But if you're wasting your time online, if a 17-year-old now, an average 17-year-old kid, has 91 of his free time he spends online, 91%. So there's no more dreams. He will never become a star athlete, a singer, a doctor, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter what profession it is. If you want to excel in life and you start working for something and then you reach that goal, that is happiness. And all the other crap, it's all pleasure. Forget about the pleasure. Cut it off, man. I'm doing this thing. It's a 3-month, and this is the 8th year or the 7th year I'm doing it. So start on January 5th, and you have to cut everything out. So I can't watch TV. I can't be on my phone, only for my job. I can't listen to crazy music. I can't watch a game. All these things. I have to read every day. I got to do certain prayers every day. I have 2 fasting days. I can only take cold showers for 90 days. You know, if you tell a person you can only take cold showers for 90 days, I'm not going to do it. Like 70% is not going to do it. Can't do it. You can't take a cold shower. Are you that big of a pussy? I mean, that's it. And I say pussy because pusillanimous, I made that word of it, is lack of courage, lack of determination, cowardly. You know, and we all are a bunch of pussies. You know, because we're all cowards in certain areas. Like I have my life under control, but there's still certain things where I'm a pussy because I shouldn't do that, but I still do it. You know, like even if it's judging or whatever, or getting angry, like all these things, man, if you can control that self, and then you have all the time and focus to pursue the goal that you want, you know, whether it's fighting that you asked me the question about, well, do that. Only focus. Did you see that girl from the Philippines? She was undefeated for a very long time. She lost now twice, I think, a boxer. But she said, what do you do different? She has no phone. No phone, no internet. She says, I'm going to do that when my boxing career is over. And look how she succeeded. She has no distractions. And the only thing she does is focusing on their goal. And that's it. And get a book. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Get that book. If you need to be steered out, it's a really good book. It's about a sheep herder. In the beginning, you go to read. That's what I was doing. I go like, is this the book? It sold over 110, or no, I think 150 million copies. There's a reason for that. It's a short book. It's 4 or 5 hours. You're through it. It will put you on the path, buddy. It's a really smartly written book. It's the most translated book next to the Bible. So that's how powerful that book is. And it's just a story. And you're reading the story, and then the thing, I get goosebumps now. The way he does that, implants things in your mind. Man, then after the book, you go, okay, yeah, I want to do that. And then you have a clear path. And everybody can do it with hard work. Just work hard. That's the trick, you know. There's no secrets. It's just doing more than the other person does. That's what I did. And what do you know? It works. So just try it out.
Yeah, well, I think it's good advice, especially for anybody who's working on a path. A lot of my path is to raise more awareness, especially in the Wing Chun community, to go out of their shell, which is slowly happening. And conversations like this certainly help as well. It's a contribution in a way. So
it's a very simple thing. Tell the person who doesn't want to change Wing Chun, and he says that Wing Chun is very effective in fighting, tell him to go to a boxing gym and spar.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
These are all
and then right after that sparring session, he's going to go, you know what? I got to cross train. That's it. That's how it works. But it's also with boxing. If he goes to Wing Chun, take the gloves off, and now we do. But still, the point, it's different. We talked about that. But I think they just need to experience it one time, because then they start adapting like you did. And then you find ways to put Wing Chun into real fighting. Yeah, and that is, of course, that's the blend you want to have.
Yeah. Well, these are sort of important points that I wanted to talk to you about. The other important thing I wanted to talk to you about, well, there's two more things. One, do you still ever teach? Do you ever do seminars?
No, I do once a year. I do the Bas Rutten inspired Bang Muay Thai system, BMT Muay Thai with Dwayne Ludwig. That's the thing we both run. I give once a year. I do a seminar there. It's in Colorado. Right. But for the rest, I'm so busy right now. Yeah. I'm traveling so much. It's like commentating is very hard. You're gonna have to pay me. And
obviously,
listen, for me, I'd rather stay home with the family, which I missed enough already. Then I go out for some money. Now if the money is attractive, then I go, hey honey, I'm sorry, or maybe I bring my wife. To a place if it's outside the country, and then it's okay. So yeah, it's very hard for me to do. I do a breathing seminar actually on the 4th of April here in town. But it's the only reason that I'm doing it, because it's here in town. I know it's going to help people. It's at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Club. It's going to help people because I know exactly how they breathe and how to breathe also with grappling. And he said, yeah, what do I ask? I go, yeah, I'll just take 70%, whatever you do. And you just ask whatever price you want. It's not for the money. I'm just here to help. It's close by. Jump in the car, 20 minutes, I'm at your gym. So it's not like I have to go on a plane, go to a different state. That's now I want money. Because otherwise, why would I do it? I did it a lot for free. All my students are pretty much trained for free.
I think that's a really normal thing to ask. I think that's what we should be doing. If a seminar or something like that was to do, I would go out of my way to make sure that everybody paid a quote and it was something done properly. But that would be for another time. The other last question I wanted to ask you was about the O2 trainer. Because I think now, 2 months? I've been trying to do it properly, and it has really helped me a lot. But not only just with breathing and strength, but when I do certain exercises with Wing Chun, like the wooden dummy and stuff like that, or if I'm doing certain pushing and pulling exercises, my breathing helps me with my strength. It connects better, which is really weird. And I don't know if is that normal? Is that right? What I'm saying?
It's so funny that you said it, because I actually wanted to say that. Like I do a lot of pulling and pushing exercises as well, push-ups and then pull, and I do a lot. A lot of repetitions, and I get tired from it. I go like winded, but I do 80 repetitions, right? So it's going, and I'm really pushing it. But the reason why you're getting tired from it is also because you're constantly because I do everything single pulls. Because that means if I do a single pull, I'm also working my core. Because now I have to stabilize my core. If you're flexing your core, it's harder for you to expand, so it's harder for you to breathe. So literally what I figured out now, 3 weeks ago, I do the O2 trainer. If I'm going to do a training workout like that, I do it before I do that workout. And that cuts it 75%.
How does the O2 trainer work? Well, it's actually very simple. This side has a flap, and when you breathe in with explosive power, that flap will close, which will force you to breathe in through this side. And this one comes with all different kinds of setting. Now, with what setting do you start when you're doing the breathing exercises? I would say it will be 6, 5, or 4. By the way, those numbers, they stand for millimeters. So let's say you put number 5 on there. Now you're going to time yourself. How long does it take you to complete 30 repetitions? Is it between 3 and 4.5 minutes? Then keep this setting. If it's lower than 3 minutes, go to setting number 4, a stronger setting. If it's more than 4.5 minutes, I will go to a less resistance cap. Don't make it a race. Make it a journey. This is very important. It's not about how fast you can go to the smallest setting. I don't even do the smallest setting, and I've been doing it over 3.5 years. So don't go there, because once you do it and you start cheating and doing it wrong, you don't use your entire inspiratory system. And that's the most important thing. Most common mistake is not to completely inhale. And you can check it like this. if you put the O2 trainer in your mouth and you breathe in and you're at the very end of your inhale and you think this is it and you pull the O2 trainer out of your mouth, you can still go, that is wrong. So imagine this happens. I can still breathe in like that. You're doing it wrong. Go to a lower resistance cap. You do all these things and your breathing is going to be out of control. My breathing completely changed. Now it's all about building a good habit, meaning do it every single day for at least 30 days. After you did it 30 days straight, I don't think you're going to stop. If you miss one here and there after the 30 days, that is not a big problem. But once you build that habit and you're doing it, you're going to really need it because you're going to feel so much better. All right, everybody, Godspeed and breathe on.
It's like, whoa, it's a gigantic difference. People don't realize how we breathe. They think our lungs are doing everything themselves. Your lungs don't do anything. There's no muscle in your lungs. They can't expand. The only reason they can expand is by chest expansion. And that chest expansion, that creates a vacuum or a negative pressure, whatever you want to call it, in the body. And that negative pressure opens up your lungs. Now, that breathing is done. Let me see if I got something here. I hope, yes, I do it. I have it. So this is what I always tell people. It's the same story, but it's going to really put your mind together. Now, first of all, we have about 6 liters of lungs, right? I can pull a gallon. Let me do this because that's going to make a mark, right? Watch this. This is for my plants here. This is a gallon. We have 1.5 of those in that's our lungs. That's how big they are. Now, what everybody does, they breathe like this. So they use only the top part of this. They don't use everything here. Now, the most dense oxygen-rich part of your lungs is at the bottom of your lungs. That's how we are supposed to breathe. We have to pull up diaphragm all the way down, and it sucks those lungs open all the way down. They go down so much, if you breathe correctly, that they massage your intestines. That's how big your lungs are. They go all the way down. So the diaphragm is doing that, and the muscles in between your ribs, they call it the intercostal muscles. The diaphragm is like a thin dome-shaped muscle tendon, like this. And that bottom, imagine this bottom being attached to the bottom of your rib cage. Of this outside is to the bottom of your rib cage. And what it does, it drops down like this. Now, from that angle, it doesn't show anything, but look what it does. Poof. It expands because it drops down and expands. That expansion opens up your chest. That creates that negative pressure and a vacuum, and that sucks open your lungs. So the more you can expand your chest, the more air you can put in your lungs. You cannot get bigger lungs. That's a bullcrap story. You have a set pair. That's it. But it starts decreasing after the age of 28 because now your chest expansion starts already calcifying. That means and it's like 300 milliliters a year. So that means 330 actually. It's 30 milliliters a month or something. It comes out to 300 milliliters. That's a third of a liter a year. So if I didn't do anything till I was 58, I would have lost 1 liter already from my 6 liters that I have. Like that's the average size. Some people have more, like Michael Phelps has 12 liters. He has double the amount. He's the highest recorded that they ever measured. There's another Russian guy has 10 liters. That's a lot as well. But we humans, regular people, have about 1.5 gallons. And a woman has about a little bit more than 1 gallon. So the more chest expansion you get, the more power you get, more air you get in. Boom. Plus you're accessing also the bottom part of your lungs, which are, like I said, the most dense, rich oxygen part of your lungs. They take in the most oxygen and then diffuse it into your blood system, right? That's how it works. It's a gas exchange. The O2 goes in and the carbon dioxide comes out, and that's what you breathe out. That's how it goes. It goes to the alveoli, those little grape-looking things in your lungs. Yep. And they're connected with these little tiny arteries, and they shoot it into your bloodstream. Now, the way you enhance your stamina, because why do we get in better shape if we train real hard? Yeah, because we train real hard. Yeah, but there's got to be a reason, right? Well, the reason is a very simple reason. If you work out a muscle over and over again, that muscle becomes more efficient at its job. That efficient already says it. It uses less oxygen, and therefore your stamina increases. Okay, now we have about 12 pounds of breathing muscles. Your diaphragm and your intercostal is 12 pounds of breathing muscles. Let's take it another step. What happens when you're gassing? You know, and I use the same word. Let's say you're hitting a bag really fast. Hitting a bag really fast. Try to be still hitting hard. You do that for a minute and a half, and you know as well as I do, freaking your arm, suddenly it goes from good to really bad. You're gassing. You know what happens when you're gassing? That's your body starts redirecting oxygenated blood. It takes it away from all your muscles that you are using, and it sends it to the number one priority in your body, your breathing muscles. And because those muscles are the most important ones, because 3 minutes without it, you're dead. That's why it's the number one priority in your body, your breathing muscles. But wait a minute, you just said that if you work out a muscle over and over again, it becomes more efficient, uses less oxygen. So why don't I work out my 11 pounds of breathing muscles with inspiratory muscle training, which is like weight training for your breathing muscles, so those muscles don't have to steal that blood anymore from the limbs that I'm using? There's your answer. And I always say this, pretty much every Olympian endurance athlete is doing inspiratory muscle training. And that's what the auto trainer is. It's a very simple device. It's weight training. It's just a plastic thing. You look at it, it's not plastic. It's very safe. It's a special silicone that's non-toxic. So don't worry about that. And it's a very basic concept. If I inhale, here's the flap. You see the flap going out? There's a little jewel coming out because I did it this morning. Because that's the thing, of course, you're breathing in and out. That opens up. And when I suck on it, this one closes, and it forces me to inhale to this side. And as you can see, this is a tiny hole. You know, now you start, of course, with a larger hole. And slowly but surely, you're getting stronger and stronger, because now you're working out that diaphragm, that muscle, to press out your chest. And once you start doing that, like my chest expansion is 133%. They never measured that before. They were like, that's not possible. How is that possible? Like, yeah, well, I'm using this thing. And that was a doctor. And then the doctor wrote a book, and she put it in a book. And that's when people go like, oh, it's not a gimmick. I go, there is over 1,000 published medical journals about inspiratory muscle training. Because needless to say, I didn't invent it. I thought I did when I was 14. And then later in life, I made it. But, you know, inspiratory muscle training has been around for a long time. That's why I said every Olympian is doing it. They maybe use a different device, but they are using inspiratory muscle training. It's a life changer. But this is the problem again. And I already told you that with people, how soft we are. It's 5 minutes a day. Less than 5 minutes a day. I just do 5 minutes. But people find that too hard after 4 days.
But Bas, if I do 4 of your exercises and I get up to 50, it's more than 5. I get up to about 20, 25 minutes if I do all 4 of them. I'm doing it. But sometimes I can't do all four of them. So I can, because to do 50, I'm able to do 2 exercises and get up to 50 reps. It took me a while because I used to get tired when I got up to about 15, and it took me a while to get up to 50. But if I do two of them, I'm pretty wasted. I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, but the thing is this, but watch out with that, because first of all, you don't want to do all the breathing exercises one after another, right?
All right.
So, because you want to, let's say, if you want to do the laying down one and the front breathing exercise 1, yes, you can combine those if you want. You can do a double up. That's okay. But I wouldn't do the back breathing exercise, because what you do then, the next day, those muscles are going to rest, and you focus on your back breathing muscles. And that's when you do the other exercise. For your back breathing muscles. So it's like weight training. You don't train every day your biceps, right? Because it actually will go down because you're breaking your muscles down. But if you give them 1 day rest and protein, now they get stronger. So separating exercises, it's a smarter thing to do. So yes, and what setting are you using?
I'm using the fist.
Oh, the fist, yeah. No, that's good. That's what I tell people, because people go to me and says, oh, I can do the same thing with a straw. I go, don't do that. I say, use your fist. You can do it on your fist. Yeah. Exactly the same thing. And the harder you squeeze, the more resistance you get. Yeah.
We're still trying to work out how to get it into Italy. That's why.
Yeah, but listen, it's good what you're doing. Like, people always go like, oh, you just tried to sell that product. I say, no, you can do this on your wrist. You don't have to buy it. If you want, you can do it on your wrist.
But I have to buy it. I have to buy it because we need to.
After a while, you're going to go, well, let's see if I actually made improvements.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can start counting your repetitions. How many do I do in 5 minutes on this setting? And then if you do it a month later, you realize you do like freaking 12 repetitions more. So
I'm losing you, Bas. Are you there? Hello? Are you there, Bas?
oh, we're frozen.
Yeah. Okay, you're
Okay.
back. I got you back.
Yeah, I can hear you also, so that's a good thing.
I can't see you though.
Oh, I see you still, but it's frozen. Huh.
Hang on a sec. I've lost the image altogether. What is it? Sorry about this.
Don't worry about it.
I'm here.
Here we go.
Everything just went out.
That's good.
Yeah, but I'm just worried about the recording says it's still going. Fuck, I got a heart attack.
No, it was still recording, so it should be in there.
Okay. But everything blanked out. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but it's just internet connection. That happens sometimes. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm still fairly new at all this. Bas, how are we doing with time?
I gotta go, buddy, because I got a noon. I gotta eat now, and I already had a big morning, so I gotta eat. And then at noon, in 45 minutes, I got a big meeting again.
I'll be able to edit all this, and even with the mistake, so I can cut this out. So we'll conclude. I'll thank you for everything, and I'll take it on from here. I'll take it on from here. All right, so we had a bit of a power failure. I've been able to save the recordings, and I think I've taken up too much of your time, Bas. I really honestly thank you for your time. I hope maybe there's a good outcome and we can do this again. I wanted to ask your permission. Can I put in the occasional footage of your career and add some links as well to go to your website with the O2 trainer? Is that all okay? I can do that?
Yeah, 100%. I would love that.
Yeah. And I'm glad you remembered me from many years ago when we had that conversation. And all my best to you and the family. And I really appreciate you communicating to the Wing Chun community and to a Wing Chun nerd like me.
Nice. I love it. And you do the same, man. Happy to your family. Godspeed. That means I wish you a prosperous journey in life, my friend.
Thank you. All the best to you.
Godspeed, brother. Take care. Bye.
My stance, I have an open stance, wide open. This stance, to me, you can't do anything. You immobilize yourself.
Mixed martial arts legend Bas Rutten reveals the fighting stance that could save you in a street fight.
How can I block a low kick? That's not going to happen. I'll kick to the head. I'm going to block it like this. I'm going to fall to the side. Kick to the body. How I'm going to block that? There's a lot of stuff. Your jab. How's your jab? It's a jab. I'll take the jab and I crush you. An inside low kick. How are you going to do a kick? There's not going to be any power. All these things are downers, minuses. Let's take my stance. Low kick, boom, there's my counter. A straight counter or even an inside low kick counter. Kicks to the body the same, kicks to the head the same, everything becomes easier. So now, if I give an inside low kick, this is a little loft tap. Here, if I step in and bring my left shoulder back, which I'm going to show you later on the back how to do that, and now rotate the upper body to the side, that's when you have unbelievable power in that left knee. So everything becomes better. The only one thing that you're going to give up is your wider target in the body. Start experimenting with it and see for yourself.